Meeting to order. You want to take roll?
Yes. Chair Malone?
Here.
Vice Chair Collins? Here. Member Hanson is absent. Members Leonard? Here. Ryan? Here. Shu?
Here.
Webb?
Here.
Williams? Here. Young?
Okay. Andy, you want to lead us in the pledge, please?
Okay, if you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so I need a motion for approval of minutes.
So moved.
Okay, I need a second.
Chair Malone?
Yes.
Vice Chair Collins? Yes. Members Leonard? Yes. Ryan? Yes. Shu?
Yes.
Webb?
Yes.
Williams? Yes. Young? Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, I need, let's see, public comments. I don't see any public.
The meeting is closed, but we have not received any emails for public comment.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to item 3 then. Discussion. Roger, I think you have a update on tax revenue.
Yes, thank you and good morning, Mr. Chair. In your packet, you have an update on the sales tax receipts for the third quarter of 2020, presented by our consultants, HDL. This is the quarter ending September 30th, 2020. These are pretty encouraging numbers given that they're in the midst of a pandemic. They're primarily bolstered by auto sales and online shopping. The auto sales exceeded expectations, increasing 21.1% over the same quarter of the previous year. This includes used car sales increasing more than 30%. You might attribute this to struggling households looking for better value, but nonetheless, it's an excellent number. Restaurant revenue was naturally hit pretty hard, a decrease of 10.5% due to closures. Fuel sales also suffered, 35% lower than the third quarter of 2019. Clearly due to less commuting and also lower gas prices. The state and county pools, remember this represents revenue from internet sales as well as private motor vehicle sales, increased a whopping 60%. Much of the increase was due to revenue from the Supreme Court decision of South Dakota versus Wayfair, which, as you recall, requires sales tax to be collected on companies even if they don't have a physical presence in the state. And this includes all Amazon third-party sellers as well. So with every month, with every successive quarter, I should say, after that decision, more and more of these companies have come into compliance, which accounts for the very healthy numbers. By now, most of those companies are probably in compliance. A few more will trickle in. But of course, the online sales is a trend we'll probably see increasing even long after the pandemic. That'll comprise a larger and larger amount of our retail sales. Building and construction was up almost 16%, and food and drug was up 11%. Additionally, Measure R revenues continue to exceed original projections with more than $1.5 million received in the subject quarter. And so, as I say, these are good numbers given the state of the world right now. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
I have 2 questions. The first one is, do you think the anomalies they were having when they changed over accounting systems and stuff is resolved now?
So I double-checked on this with our consultant, and he indicates that those are largely behind us, almost entirely.
Okay, and then the second thing is, what was the original Measure R projection? Was it There's about $500,000 or so, something like that. I don't recall.
Probably, and
The current fiscal year, this is for, yeah, for the current period we're talking about here, we have 1.5.
We don't actually put
Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Anyone else have any questions? Yeah, yes.
So I had a quick question regarding the breakdown here. I see that a large amount of our revenue comes from the car sales and specifically used cars. And so one of the items that I wanted to ask is, has there been any update on the CarMax site beyond kind of what we've seen in publications that they're kind of considering it, but no real solid schedule at this point?
so I believe the last word we had was that they were anticipating resuming construction next month. Of course, that's subject to further updates. But obviously, that would even further enhance a very strong performing sector for used cars.
Now, are they waiting on anything from the city side, or is this really hinging on their own decision?
I believe it's their own internal decisions on construction. This is the expansion in California and the Norco site included are considered high priorities for the company. And the CarMax, has done very well, throughout the pandemic. I mean, it's one of those. It's become kind of a model for selling cars now, and so they're definitely not that there's no business performance indication that would suggest that they would slow down that decision to prioritize California.
I think that it's just, the question is, because it's such an eyesore now, it was such a topic of dissension. They started building and it's just been sitting like that. It's just, is there anything the city has done to talk to them about getting it going? I mean, because it's just really, people say stuff all the time and I don't know what to tell them.
back as far as
Okay, let's move on then. So we have item A is done. Item B is a discussion of strategic priorities. So Roger, Kelly, Diane, and I met together to talk about plans for this year. And Roger put together a memo, and I put together sort of a little missive to talk about things we would like to do this year. So I'll defer to Roger to go through the outline of the memo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to turn this back over to you rather quickly. Let me just introduce the item. As you indicated, staff has been meeting with the EDAC leadership in the past, during our hiatus in the fall. And we've agreed on some goals and procedures that I'd just like to quickly outline before you get into a more detailed discussion. Several issues of potential topics for action emerged from our discussions. Among these were research into the Navy's Technology Bridge program. That's the chair will give you a little more detail on this, but basically it promotes collaboration between the Navy base and local technology firms. And the results in some cities have been quite remarkable in terms of the kind of synergies created. Second one would be an evaluation of the role of the Chamber of Commerce, just to be sure that they're meeting the needs of local businesses, and perhaps that means more collaboration with the city. But just to be sure, the issue was brought up because we wanted to feel certain that businesses were finding resources from all corners, whether it be government, chamber, or other organizations, whether it be government agency or nonprofits. And third, the third item that came up was the further examination of the parking policies on Hamner Avenue, which you delved into a little bit last October. And this is an opportunity to further explore that with the Public Works Director's direction. So naturally, the members are more than welcome to add to this list. In your ensuing discussion, you can add to this list or subtract. Other items that came up briefly, not specifically, but general themes, was a desire to be more involved in upcoming development projects. We recognize that. Most likely at your February meeting, you'll have a presentation from a developer. And another one, another issue that came up was the reinstatement of the Business Appreciation Initiative presentations. Now, we curtailed those because we haven't had the public invited to city council meetings, but if you'd like to adjust that program to accommodate some kind of recognition even during these periods, that would be something you can talk about. For all these major project topics, or any of the ones that you suggest today, we've agreed on a new procedure. Each topic would be researched by an exploratory committee of EDAC. It would be most likely comprised of 3 EDAC members. They would work on their own to research these topics to try to deem whether or not they are appropriate for further action. They'd bring it back to EDAC. EDAC would decide whether or not to move forward, and then staff would would bring that item back at the appropriate time, and with the appropriate instructions as to whether or not this would be a recommendation perhaps to City Council or one of the other commissions. If ultimately, so the process, just to reinstate, the you decide on topics. It goes to an exploratory committee. The exploratory committee researches a topic, brings it back to EDAC. If EDAC chooses to move forward, staff will consider on the appropriate manner in which to proceed, and possibly bring it back to EDAC for a more specific action to be recommended. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So the first one, I put together a little missive white paper on the Navy Tech Bridge program, and there's also other ones in the Air Force, Space Force, and Army and others, but they all kind of culminate into areas for business development to meet the needs of both the military, consumers, and the industry and local government. So we attended a Tech Bridge briefing from Naval Surface Warfare Center right on the other side of the fence here. I guess that was about, October, November, maybe September. I can't remember. It was a while back. But it's a new group that's been formed last year, and they now have probably about 10 or 12 of these Tech Bridge groups across the country and in London. And they're making large changes to foster innovation in commercial businesses. So this is an opportunity for Norco to get involved with that. And one of the vehicles that we could use is the Small Business Innovative Research Program, which is a recurring program for businesses throughout the country. And there's more detail in the references that I've provided. But there's a current opening right now that closes February 18th. So if anybody's interested in going and researching that might be an opportunity to get people involved in Norco right now. So we can talk about that a little bit. And then the next thing was the Chamber of Commerce. What we're finding is that businesses usually join the Chamber of Commerce, and there's kind of a weakness between the joint between that and us. So we're trying to strengthen that. So Mike, if you could help out with that, we'd appreciate that, and maybe come up with some routine stuff that we do every time we meet, or more often than that. And we do get the blast from the Chamber of Commerce via email, and if you're not on that list, let Mike know and we'll get you on that list, because those come out regularly. And then the parking on Hamner, that's just an ongoing thing that we'll probably visit occasionally. And then what Roger said about getting involved with business development, that we've asked that as part of the committee to be more involved, so that we can understand what's going on in the community to strengthen the economic development capabilities in Norco. So I'll open it up for questions and discussion right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to make a comment. I think the Navy Bridge program is that's encouraging. That's a pretty interesting thing, and you've put together a very detailed report on it. The one thing I see that we should even expand upon that, and we put it under the realm of technology, is, I'm curious if the city has put together any plan for recruiting companies to come to Norco. I'm not talking about, the grassroots 2 or 3 people start a company in Norco and go forward. That's great. We can do that.